must be some people who can come to help him. And I said, anyone, whether you're in opposition or you're in government, you cannot wish the president to fail these 5 years, because if he fails, the nation fails, we suffer. So how can we come together to help here? Indeed. What does he want from the private sector and the rest? So according to me, the G2G deal is not good for the nation. It was not done the way it has been stated.
Right, we'll get to the details.
Interrogation for
Indeed, we'll get to the details. Let's get to Dr. Martin Olo. Welcome back. We missed you last week. I think you were holding the first cohorts of law graduates at Daystar University. A big one for Daystar.
It's true. I was producing scholars for the nation.
You're producing scholars for the nation.
Certifying them.
Certifying them.
Yeah, and I do have a candidate on this bench that I'm working on slowly, because I need to present him to Kenyans so that he can have the power to do all that appertains. No, thanks for having me back, Dibal. I'm glad to hear, I'm seated next to a Solomonic wisdom, and then I have just heard from the expert on agriculture, and not so much of an expert, but some farmer. So that's good.
Yes, I represent the farmer.
Yes, at least, which is a good thing. And basically what we are saying is
he's
that...
a quack farmer.
No, he says he tried it, he tries it, but now he has reduced himself to just feeding his family.
My family.
Which is a loss to the nation, because we need to produce at least surplus so that the rest of the nation can gain. So we need to encourage him. But again, if we have to encourage him, we also need to send out good policies and also create an enabling framework for farmers to be able to perform better. In any country in the world, whether you're talking about France, whether you're talking about America, or, any serious country, food security is #1 priority. And every policy that you make ought to always ensure that the basic minimum food is available. But when we come to Kenya, we don't seem to have any intention nor a policy that helps us, A, protect farming, B, provide an enabling framework for those involved in agriculture to actually flourish. So that those at the tail end, maybe those on the other side of that value chain, the millers and transporters and others, will inevitably benefit more than the person that actually grows the crop, because then the inputs that go into it and the whole economy around it is such that the farmer is always the loser. Everybody else can gain, whether you're talking about plantation farming, sugarcane farming, talking about agriculture, talking of coffee, indeed tea, everything we're talking about, we seem to be unaware or unable to cope with the demands of the farmer vis-a-vis the market, the middle person, and generally the profiteers. So that is something that we need to think about. All said and done, I think that I'm not sure whether this government really needs help, or, the way you say, my good friend Professor. I think they seem to have everything together. The president says he has the idea, he's making decisions that will take Kenya to the next level, he wants to transform it. So it looks like we just need to sit back, wait, and see. Indeed, he's not inviting our contribution, he knows it. If you say the CS of Energy, he was his chief of party. He's his man. So he's not somebody that he has just come to know. So he knows him, and he has him there for very good reasons. Yeah. So if you advise him to get rid of him, he might not listen to you. So
no, right. No, actually not get rid of him.
We'll come to it. Let's just run the stories.
But it won't help Energy.
And the intention is not to help Energy.
All right. Okay, let's just hear from the horse's mouth, where we know a section of Azimio coalition leaders are threatening to go back to the streets if the ongoing talks collapse and the cost of living is not addressed as earlier indicated. The talks now hang in the balance, even as the committee plans to converge on Wednesday next week to conclude the report. KTN's political affairs reporter Daniel Keruki interrogates this.
A political showdown is in the offing if an ensuing back and forth persists. A stalemate between the members of the National Dialogue Committee (NADCO) and with reports indicating that several members, especially those allied to Azimio, staged a walkout. A section of Azimio leaders are threatening of dire consequences if the talks fail.
We are saying, should the talks fail, as they are looking, they are failing.
Yes.
We shall not forgo our rights. We shall go back to the streets if necessary. We are going to exercise our civil, political, and human rights to the fullest.
According to NAC Kenya leader Martha Karua, Kenya Kwanza has refused to meet their side of demand, with protest threats dismissed.
Ours is to give notice of intention. What the illegitimate KK regime does with that is their business. But it will become our business if the demands of Kenyans are not met.
Why would demonstration be a factor towards addressing the cost of living? The cost of living has already started being addressed by the president himself, and we saw subsidies to fertilizers.
The Dialogue Committee adjourned to seek consultations on the few issues, especially the cost of living. They are expected to meet Treasury CS Jogona Ndungu, perhaps to look at how to address the issue. A section of Azimio members in the committee claims the final report that is to be presented to President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga only bears issues pushed by Kenya Kwanza. A source has further claimed all the proposals by opposition was trashed. The source also claims the report has recommended amendment of the constitution, while urging Kenyans not to expect much from the report, as it has been centered on individual interests. A section of Kenya Kwanza leaders led by Sabatia MP Clement Sloya have told off Azimio, accusing them of introducing fresh demands.
But you will find those people surrounding the leader of the opposition, Raila Odinga, would want to drag him behind by ensuring that he fronts the issues that are of interest to themselves. But the Ruto government cannot be sabotaged right now because he has already opened up to dialogue with the opposition leaders. Why would somebody think he can sabotage President William Ruto right now? The government is firmly in place.
The talks will resume Wednesday after brief from the two coalitions heads. Daniel Kariuki, KTN News, Nairobi.
Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga is now demanding the immediate cancellation of the oil deal initiated by President William Ruto, branding it a grand scam that has left the nation in turmoil. According to Raila, the deal went against the initial government-to-government oil deal, and it still remains a mystery how Gulf Energy, Galana Oil Kenya Limited, and Oryx Energies Kenya Limited got nominated to handle local logistics. Raila claims that the deal signed mid this year has seen Kenya lose billions of shillings in taxes since the three companies picked to spread or to spearhead, I should say, the deal, do not pay the 30% corporate tax while prices of fuel continue to escalate. Chris Tairo has more.
In a bid to deal with the shortage and skyrocketing prices of fuel in the country, the Kenya Kwanza administration announced that there was a government-to-government memorandum of understanding with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to supply of oil to Kenya on favorable terms. Nearly 9 months into the deal, and Azimio leader Raila Odinga has come out to raise a red flag that indeed Kenyans might have been conned.
There was no G2G. Kenya government did not sign any contract with Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. Only the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum signed a deal with the state-owned petroleum companies in the Middle East. Why Ruto chose to characterize the deal as a G2G is the first red flag that points to mischief in this deal.
According to the opposition leader, the deal has not addressed any of the problems that the Kenya Kwanza administration had indicated would solve for Kenyans.
The scarcity of the dollar has continued. 5. The landlocked countries that depend on us for oil are abandoning our pipeline because it has become too expensive.
Raila claims that in that deal, only 3 companies are benefiting.
Our Gulf Energy, Galana Oil Kenya Limited, and Oryx Energies Kenya Limited got nominated to handle local logistics. But the hand-picked distributors are selling oil to us at almost twice the price from bulk suppliers. We now know that the characterization of this deal as a G2G was meant to shield the 3 Kenyan companies from paying a 30% corporate tax.
And now he's demanding that the deal be cancelled.
Ruto must immediately cancel the contract and revert to the open tender system, which ensured guaranteed supply of petroleum products. It has assigned responsibility to various players as opposed to the so-called G2G that is making Kenyans depend on inefficient and corrupt players. The open tender system was efficient, accountable, and competitive, and offered prices commensurate with international pricing model.
The government has already come out to dismiss the claims by the Azimio chief, indicating that the deal is clean and that the country is losing no money. Chris Dairu, KTN News, Nairobi.